Hello, this is Mr. Lance. I'm your college success instructor for online COLL 1000. I'm looking right now at the Blackboard, page for one of the CRNs. Uh, the course number is 41092. That may not be your CRN, but that's okay. This video will still help you. Um, so the purpose of this video is just to give you a brief introduction to getting started. And you may have already done classes in Blackboard and things like that. But I want you to be as successful as you possibly can in this class. But I do want you to understand that it will take a lot of work and effort on your part to make sure that you stay on top of things, because online classes are a little bit different. You don't have a regular meeting with your instructor usually, um, especially not for this class. But I'm always available by email, and I have office hours which are posted on the course syllabus. If you needed an appointment and you wanted to meet with me face to face, I would be more than happy to arrange that with you. But but anyway, the purpose of this video is, I want to, just welcome you to the class and just get a couple things on here to get you started. So I'll be posting this video for you to watch, and then I'll put some kind of little video quiz together to so you can show evidence that you have watched it. So um, if you if once you log on to your course in Blackboard and you click on your college success link, your available things will show up over here. So at the time of this video, um, I've only given you access to up through to section 1 material. So that's where this video will be housed, in section 1, because it's going to kind of go with that. Um, this course is 30 contact hours, and I want you to pay particular attention to that, because I will be discussing that in just a few minutes into the video, um, just to show you what that means, and how that can relate to what grade you get in the class. So right now you've already if you're made it through you've done your no-show assignment, and you've been granted access to section 1 material. Right now, the only thing in section 1 material you have access to at this very moment is discussion boards. So the discussion boards in section 1 are there, but that's not your only assignment so far. Like you have an assignment to read textbook pages 1 through 50. So make sure that you're doing that. This part, reading basically the first chapter of your assigned textbook. So, but I haven't put anything on there, really meaty assignments that are due the first week, that require that textbook, to give you time to get it. Your first thing that requires the textbook, really, it would be the 7 Habits assessment, which is in the book, in preparation for one of the discussions, but that's not due till next week. So we'll talk about that. Just a few things. Start early, though, as early as you can, for every section of the course and every course that you're taking. Start early. Be proactive is the first habit number 1, and that involves taking the initiative to start your work early. Will be one example of that. If I always see students who don't start early, then they miss due dates, because you never know what's going to happen at the last minute. If you wait to the last minute to do your assignment, and then something happens that has to be dealt with immediately, and it affects your ability to do an assignment. This is a college course, so a lot of while a lot of things your instructors will try to work with you on, some things will be non-negotiable. So just make sure that you start early anytime you can. Check your calendar tab. That's over here. I'm going to show you that in a few minutes. And then the individual assignment instructions. Those are very important because your calendar tab might just show dates or reminders, but the individual assignment instructions may have detailed parts of the assignment that are due at different times. You can always email me if you have any questions. Um, I respond to emails usually really quickly, so don't hesitate to email me. If you notice any discrepancies between the dates on the assignment and the dates on the calendar tab, and you need clarification, or I may have messed up, some things automatically populate when I make an assignment, and some things I have to go in there and manually put stuff in for you. So, if you see anything like that where either you don't understand or you want clarification on it, be sure to email me and ask me. Or if you see you think that I might have made a mistake on typing something in, then by all means let me know, and I would greatly appreciate it. So in section 1, you only have right now discussion activities. So let me talk a little bit about what you've got going on so far. After you've done your no-show assignment and you get access to section 1, you'll see in section 1 2 discussion forums so far. The first one is just an introduction to where you can, say hi to your classmates basically, and get used to the format of posting and responding on here. According to your syllabus, anytime you make an initial post in a discussion board, I want it to be 5 sentences at least. And when I say 5 sentences, I mean actually 5 good sentences where you have formed a good sentence, you've used words correctly, you've used capitalization and punctuation. 5 sentences written at the college level, because this is a college level course, and it would be misleading or unfair if you get full credit for submitting work that's not at the college level. So just keep that in mind. The questions or topics I want you to address when you're talking in this first in your initial post, tell us what your major is, what you like to do for fun, do you have kids? Are you a kid? Are you a high school student? Are you returning to college? Or, anything you want to share, as long as it's appropriate, put it in there. And that initial post must be completed on or before Friday, January 13th at 11:59 p.m. Your responses then to 3 different students, and then according to your syllabus, anytime you post responses in the discussion board, they need to be at least 3 sentences in length. And again, same rules. Good grammar, capitalization, punctuation, things like that. And your responses need to be completed by Sunday, January 15th at 11:59 p.m. So this part doesn't require your textbook. So if you haven't gotten your textbook yet, you still, you're still okay. So the thing is, this discussion board will close on this at this time, and you will not be allowed to post anymore. So here's how that works. If you do not make your initial post on time, you're going to lose points, but your discussion is still open. So you could get in there and do it a little bit late, and then you still get some credit. And then your responses, if you get all those in, you'll still get some credit, so better than a 0. But at 11:59 p.m. on this closing final date here, the discussion forum will not be opened, and it will not be available. You cannot go back and post. If it happened to be available, I'm not going to go back and grade it. That it's going to end right there. So very important that you understand those due dates. And then I'll show you on the calendar tab what that looks like. And so by clicking over there on the calendar tab, you look at what, so today's January 11th. You'll see where this was up there. You may have already noticed this if you've looked at your calendar. The no-show assignment was up there to take your syllabus quiz, and I moved that due date to 11:59 today, on January 11th. Also, you have to make your initial post in the Section 1 discussion forum by the 13th. And then on the 15th is when the introduce yourself final final responses are due. Then you have to, in the next week, you have to make your initial post for the 7 habits assessment discussion board, and then that final post is due here. And then so when I add a video quiz, whatever day I make that due after you watch this video, that will show up on here also. So it's very important that you keep up with that. But not just that, you have to also keep up with your individual assignment instructions and due dates that are attached to your assignment. So anyway, but try to use those in conjunction. Now also, you can type stuff on here on your calendar if you want. You can put your own things on there. So so these are like all the classes that I have a hand in, I guess you could say. Yours will just have what you have going on or what you've done so far. And then back in my Section 1 folder, the second discussion board assignment that you have so far is the 7 habits assessment results. So in your initial post of at least 5 sentences, just like it says in your syllabus, share your results from the 7 habits assessment from your textbook. And then your responses discuss what you have in common with and how you differ from your classmates. And you need to reply to 3 other students with at least 3 sentences, same rules, good grammar, college level writing. Do the best you can to make it look appropriate. If it looks like a text message and you have lowercase I for when you're referring to yourself, that is not good, not high quality college level work. So you need to do your very, very best at doing that. Your initial post from your results need to be posted on or before January 20th at 11:59 p.m. If you don't meet that time, you're going to lose points. And then your responses have to be completed by Sunday, January 22nd. So a couple days after your initial post was due. Again, if you miss that deadline, you will not have access to it, and you'll get graded based on what you've done at that point. And if you've done nothing, you'll get a 0, and it will not be reopened. If you miss the initial post deadline, you can still get some points if you're late and you still complete the assignment. So keep that in mind. It's the final due date is when it'll totally close. But if you don't meet the initial due date for your first post, you will lose points. So what you have to do is take the quiz, and I'll show you what the quiz kind of looks like real quick. It kind of looks like this. Obviously it's in your textbook, but so this is like a PDF that I have of it. But you go through the 7 habits, and you indicate for every little prompt it gives you over here for the particular habit. Habit 1's be proactive. You indicate your level of agreement with that statement. If that is not you, if you don't take initiative to get things done, you're like wait till the last minute or things like that, or somebody has to make you do it or something like that. That's kind of, if you only do it because somebody said so, then you might be over here. But if you do that on your own, you may be over here. So at the end of each little part, you have somewhere between 4 and 20 points that you'll put in your total. And you do that for all your 7 habits, and then you'll be able to see how you did on each habit. So if you get a 20 on a particular area, either you've totally mastered that habit and you're a very effective student or person in general, or you're fooling yourself or lying to us. And then goes through, you're doing okay, but you can still improve. You're dangerously close to being average. Um, your success in college and life depends on making some important changes. If you're right here, you're not doing so hot, but you can only go up. So it try to keep all those in a positive light just to motivate you. Um, so that it's just a way for you to help you summarize your results, which is what the purpose of that is, to share your results and discuss them in a discussion board. So that's what I'll be looking for if you want full credit. And then I'll show you an example of what a post looks like. So here's an example post that I put up here. It was another student from another semester, but I just made it an example post. It says do not respond to this post. So here the student listed, habits 1 through 7, what they were, and what score he or she put down, when they tallied up their score, what they come up with. And then a little bit of information discussing it. So that's what I'm looking for when you make this post. So that way you'll have an idea of what you need to do to accomplish this task. It's not just, you're not giving anyone advice in this part. You're discussing your results. So I don't want you to put stuff like, you're telling people what to do. This is about, there should be a lot of I in there. So, this is discussing your results, what you need to do. Don't make this into something where you're trying to give somebody else advice. That's not what this assignment is. You're not trying to give advice. You're just discussing. Because you'll learn, if you haven't already, that advising people is bad as far as right off the bat. If you don't have enough information about other people, you don't need to really be advising them on things that have to do with their personal life and personal goals. So, if you're talking about something you know a lot about, you can, sometimes give advice if the person is in a position to receive advice. But this is just a discussion at this point. So first initial post is about your results and where you feel you're doing well and why you're feeling good about that. And and also where you think you need to improve and what you think you could do to improve. And then your responses, if you'll remember, are what you have in common and how you differ from that student. So you're not trying to give advice to people when you do your responses for this either. You're simply trying to say, oh, I need to work on that also. If somebody says, I need to work on being more proactive or prioritizing things or something like that, I have trouble putting first things first. I do things, I make things urgent that really shouldn't be, stuff like that. Then, you might have a common point of discussion that way. If you do, so just keep that in mind as you're doing it. So then, and again, like I said, if you have any questions, always feel free to email me. If you, maybe there might be a couple of you who have already posted in this because you maybe have your textbook already and you're trying to be proactive and work ahead and things like that. I admire that, but you might see this and say, oh, wait, I need to revamp my post. I approached it the wrong way. It's not going to be as helpful, or I'm not going to get the grade that I want. I can do better now, so I want you to make sure that you email me if that's the case. Speaking of email, I have this little document here, how to email your college instructors, okay, or any kind of professional email. When you make when you construct an email to me or any of your instructors, the first thing you should do. This is an example of a maybe like a good email, well formatted um, email. So this student emailed me properly. Um, I just changed her name at the end, but it says, "Dear Mr. Lance." So you should start out with a greeting to whomever the email is going out to. Right. So, um, and she said, "I have a question about the 7 Habits assessment assignment in our College 1000 class. Will I lose points if I am not an effective student according to my score on the assessment? I know I have a lot to learn about some of these areas, and I am willing to share my results with the class. But I did not score very high, and I want to make a good grade in this course. Sincerely." So she put a closing. Jane, student, CRN, and then the CRN for her class. Okay? That's very important. First of all, she started it out correctly. "Dear Mr. Lance," or whoever your teacher is. She said she had a question about the assignment, and she's legitimately concerned that I'm going to grade her based on what she put down as far as her score for each habit, and I am not. It's a self-assessment. That's not how you get points for that assignment. So I did send her a reply telling her that. Um, and you know, she's basically, she just wants to get a good grade. And then she put a closing, so she put "sincerely." That's good closing, and her name and her course number. Um, I don't know if you remember when I showed like all the list of classes that I keep up with a lot. Probably 5 or 6 at a time on that list on the calendar. But this number is very important. It helps me if I had made a mistake on grading her assignment. If she actually made a 90 and I put that she made a 60, accidentally typed it in wrong because contrary to popular belief, your instructors are humans, and they do make a mistake sometimes. And I did a typo on her grade. If that was what her email was about, then she would probably want me to make that correction because it would benefit her. When she puts this number right here for her course, which is on your syllabus and on Blackboard also for each class you take, that number, whatever her number is for my class, I can look right up and find her. I don't have to sort through 150 students to try to find her name in there. So that lets me go right to her class. I can find her name. I can fix her grade or whatever. Very important. Do not send an email and let it look like, say, this example. This one. This happens all the time. So I kind of took some pieces out of a few emails that I've gotten that look about the same. This part here, like when it starts out, there's no introduction, like "Dear Mr. Lance," and it starts out, "Hey," and then it looks like they were trying to say "I'm sorry," and they just put "I am" like this, "am sorry," and then the "I" is not capitalized, and then "am sick." I guess that should be "I'm sick," and it should be an actual sentence. And then it's maybe a new sentence should start. And then there's a misuse of the word "there." This is a personal, like a pronoun for belonging to them, like their book or whatever. Is there any work I'm supposed uh, supposed to do? I guess is what that means. I know what they're saying. Hey, they did put a question mark. That is good. And then there's another lowercase I, and then a "don't" with no apostrophe. If you, I'll just tell you, if you have trouble writing contractions, then break the word apart. If you know have trouble with that, and uh, I don't want to get too far behind. So that's a misuse of the word. This one here is a misuse of the word to. And then there's no closing, there's no name, and there's no course. So I'm going to have to do a little extra looking or whatever to figure out, into the email address that sent this to figure out who this is. And that may be easy and it may not, depending on where the email came from. So do not write an email that looks like this. To your professor. Now, if you want to write that to your friends on a text message or their email, that's fine. Do not do that on an email to me. Make your email look like you're in college. So just keep that in mind. An email is a communication tool. For your college, it should be a professional as you can get it, okay? So keep that in mind. Do not, now that you've seen this video, don't send emails that look like that. In your introductory material, as you're reading chapter 1, where your introduction and your foundation part, there's a formula for college success, and the first one, the biggest part is you have to have a reason why you're in college, because if you don't, when the coursework gets a little bit tough, if your reason why is not important enough to you, you're not going to do your best. So you have to really have a reason. And I talk to so many students who really do not. Therefore, when they get to a position where the work gets harder, and it does, their academic performance goes downhill, and that's tremendous amount of importance that you have a reason why. Then you're going to have to build your academic skills. It's very difficult to succeed in college if you're not willing to improve and develop solid academic skills. And then you're going to have effective life skills. So depending on where you are right now in your life, you may have some effective life skills already. Hopefully you do. A lot of people that I talk to do not. So it's hard for them to balance their life without college, let alone with college. So it takes a lot of effort to do those things. But those are the things that you're going to have to do to be effective. You'll see this throughout your textbook. In the very beginning, you'll see this, and it's called the maturity continuum. And basically, you start out down here in a dependent, like a little kid. They're dependent upon a caretaker or whatever. So this is what we call the you need to help me do this and stuff like that. If you want to move from dependence to independence, then according to what we're going to be studying, you've got to be able to do a few things. Habit 1 is be proactive, which is a private victory. Habit 2, begin with the end in mind. So you have to know where you're going. It's easier to get there if you have an idea where you're going. And then put first things first. So these things are necessary private victories that you have to make to move from dependence to independence. So where you can start saying things like I, instead of that. So instead of you. So here you're dependent on somebody else. Everything's about I need you to do this for me. And then you want to move to independence. Well, these are some of the things that you have to do. You accomplish parts of these habits to move to that, where now you realize it's I'm in charge of my outcome. And then the next steps after you've worked through these 3 habits, you start moving from independence to interdependence, and that's more like we. Like, this is I need you to do it for me, dependence. I can do it. And then together we can do more. That's what interdependence is about. So, and that's why they're considered public victories, because you're bringing other people into your circle of trust and circle of influence. So, here, habit 4, think win-win, so that both parties benefit. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. That's where you are working on skills, listening to people, like actually what empathetic listening is. Synergize, using groups' talents and things to accomplish a common goal is an example of synergy. People working together may have different skills, and the ability to make that productive has a synergistic effect. So those are considered public victories. And then habit 7, which kind of goes all the way around there, because you do things to improve your abilities in all of the other habits, or to improve your ability to actually do those. Like if you have trouble, putting first things first, you're going to have to get better some other way so that you can start doing that. So that's what the maturity continuum is about. So this is like ultimate maturity, where you have you have worked through the part where you realize what you're responsible for, and you realize how you can help others. That takes maturity. Dependence doesn't take any maturity at all. You can blame everything on everybody else. Another thing you'll see for every habit is something called the see, do, get model. So the first part is see. The see part is what we call a paradigm, how you view reality or how you view the world. That's the see part. How you see things determines what you do. And so the do part is the action part of whatever you're talking about, and then what you see determines what you do. How you see things determines what you do, and which in turn determines what you get. If someone thinks that it's okay to do drugs or to party all the time, then they make those choices over, say in college, over studying. So they're like, oh, there's a party this weekend. It's good to party. Then they go and they party and they get the results that a partier gets. And a lot of times that's decreased grades, or whatever. So it could be negative like that, or it could be you see that it's important to have mutual respect for people. That's what you really truly believe. And that's your paradigm. That's the way you see things. So if you see that it's important to have mutual respect for people, and people should be treated with kindness, then you're going to do things that follow that paradigm. You're going to be nice to people. You're going to have friendly conversations, things like that. And what you're going to get out of that would be like better relationships, stronger friendships, things like that. So the see, do, get model is a very powerful thing. That starts right here, the way you view the world or the particular topic that you're talking about, and they're always centered around a principle of some kind. The author of your book is a guy named Sean Covey, and his dad wrote the original book. Dr. Stephen R. Covey wrote the original book for the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And one of the quotes from that book is, if you want to make minor changes in life, you work on your behavior. But if you want to make significant quantum breakthroughs, work on your paradigms. So that means if you want to make small changes, you do things differently. Your behavior is different. If you want to make true quantum breakthroughs, you change your paradigm right here, how you see things. If the results that you're getting are not what you want, You can make small changes in that by changing what you're doing. Even if you don't believe in it, you can make small changes in what you do and get a little bit different result. But if you change the way you view things, the way you see things, that will change what you do. Because if it doesn't agree with your paradigm, it's not going to feel right. So um, that will ultimately change in a bigger way what you get. So that's a pretty powerful statement, actually. So we're going to talk a lot about principles, what they are not. Um, they are timeless and universal. It means it doesn't matter, you know, what happens, they're still there. They produce predictable outcomes. They are not religious. They are external. They operate whether we believe in them or not. And they are self evident or obvious or easily observed, is what that talks about. Some examples. Um, some people say responsibility, initiative, vision, integrity. That's a big one. Self-respect, mutual respect, honesty. That's a big principle for people. Efficiency, mutual understanding, cooperation, creativity, renewal or improvement. And there may be others, but I mean, this is just a list. So, a few common ones that I see are integrity, respect. It could be self-respect or mutual respect. Honesty. Um, because you think about it, integrity is doing the right thing, right? Even if nobody's looking. I believe that was a famous quote, and I can't remember off the top of my head who gets credit for saying it, but integrity is doing the right thing even when nobody's looking. So, so that's a pretty powerful thing, and it looks the same no matter what. Either you do the right thing, or you don't. Either you respect people or yourself, or you do not. I mean, so if you have, mutual respect, regardless of what somebody else's beliefs are, if you don't, then you don't have it. So if you do, you do have it. Honesty. Either you're honest or you're not. If you're honest with some people and not with other people, then you're not honest. So, that's, you're only honest to those people. So that's very important thing to understand those principles. The three theories of human behavior. And these are always prevalent. So, genetic determinism. I'm a product of my genes. I'm this way because my parents are, that's the way they're wired, so that's why I'm that way. I got my DNA from them. Environmental. I'm the product of my environment. Well, this is the way my parents raised me, or this is I grew up poor, so that's what I am, So, environmental determinism. Both of these are very dependent things. They might factor into some things, but they're very dependent. Cognitive theory is that I'm the product of my choices or my behaviors or my paradigms. The choices I make, what I choose to believe, how I choose to see the world, those are paradigms. Or my choice of things I do, my behaviors. If I choose to study, then, I'm the product of that. I'm a good student. Or I choose to work. I want to do a good job. I want to do high quality work in my job. Then, I'm a good worker. I have a good work ethic. So that's cognitive theory, or belief that you're responsible for what you do on a daily basis, product of my choices, or a product of how you see the world. So, again, that's also a very important concept for you to get out of your first part of your reading. The last thing I'll show you will be, how your what amount of work you're willing to do versus how that will affect your grade in this course. So we'll look at this last part, and this is where I'll make your video quiz from. This is just a little chart for on average 58 online students in college success courses. This is from 3 different classes. This particular part over here on this axis, you have the average hours spent on Blackboard, on the actual on Blackboard time for the online college success course, and what letter grade was earned based on that. And this part where you look at your A's, B's, C's, D's, and F's. Now you're probably already aware that for you to move on from this course, or most courses, to move on to another course, you're looking for a C or better. So from the 58 students that were whose data from Blackboard was pulled from this, overall, all 58 students on average spent 24.2 hours logged into Blackboard doing their work for college success. Students who made a grade of A for the course, on average, spent 32 hours working on Blackboard. This is a 30 contact hour course. So this is, if you look at your syllabus, that's what it says for this course is 30 contact hours. So if you were sitting in the classroom doing this, you would be at least 30 contact hours in the semester doing the class. So students who made an A spent an average of 32 hours. Some students spent more than that to get an A, and some spent less than that to get an A, just depending on what ability level they have. And this does not count time that they spent off of Blackboard, reading or doing their assignments or whatever. It's just amount of time spent on Blackboard doing assignments. So a 30 contact hour class, 32 average hours for people who made an A. That almost makes sense, doesn't it? That particular number looks really good. You should at least do that. If you want to try to make an A. Now, students who made a B average at the end of the semester, the average amount of hours spent for B students was 28 hours, so a little bit less. That would be kind of like missing a couple classes or something, or if you were face-to-face, or, not doing an assignment or something, but still above average line here. They did above average time. They got an above average grade. So average is C. For any course that you take, C is actually called in a lot of places, it's called average. The average of all the students is 24.2 hours. The average of all the students in this particular sample who made a grade of a C at the end of the semester, the average amount of time was 25 hours. So they were right about where the average line came out to be. So the ones that got an average grade got, spent an average amount of time, really. So now some people might have to spend more time to get a C, and it's all based, individualized, I guess you could say. But when you look at all the students who made a C, that's the amount of time they spent, which happened to be close to the average of all the students total. And then you look at people who made D's and F's, and the average amount of time that they spent on the course, nowhere near even average. So I thought that was pretty powerful information, just so that you can look at that and determine what grade do you want to make, and are you willing to put the work in? Because if you're not, and you're not exceptionally efficient, then you may not get that grade, and nobody's going to give you anything. You're going to have to earn it. So that just shows you the power of that. It's not like an easy thing. You know, getting an A for some people is a challenge. Getting a C for some people is a challenge. So, but at the end of the semester, if you do your part and you do all the assignments, there's no reason that you should end up in anything other than at least at the average or above line. Only students who fail to do their work end up being over here. So, very important. So your quiz, I'm going to put a video quiz on there, and I'm going to say, according to the video, how many hours did students spend who made an A on average? And the answer is 32. So according to the video, how many hours did students on average who made an A in College Success Online spend in Blackboard? So I'm going to put that on there, and there, that will be for this answer for this video quiz will be 32. Okay? So I wish you the very best. As always, email me if you have any questions. I want you to be successful, and hopefully you'll have a great semester.